Hello, welcome to Block 4, Place Value and Ordering Integers and Decimals. Lesson 1. I'll share my screen. So, in this lesson, you're going to learn to recognize the place value of any number in an integer up to 1 billion. Interesting. That's a large number. But what is an integer? An integer is a whole number. A whole number. Okay, but before we start, I want you to think about and work through these retrieval practice questions. Pause the video for about 3 minutes and have a go at these questions. Assuming you've paused the video and you've worked through it, let's discuss the answers. So the question one asks, what number is represented in the place value chart? Well, some of you should, you may still remember the place value chart from primary school or SATs. Okay, here we have the ones. In some places, it's called units. You have the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, and the tens thousands. So the number, therefore, is 36,715. But we're going to be using a lot more of place value chart in this lesson. And then what is the value of 5 in 4,952? The value is 50 because we have 5 tens if we were to put these numbers in a place value chart. Next, we're told work out the missing value in the part-whole model. So the part-whole model, you should have seen it in primary school. Here, to get this number, if we have 19 and something we don't know, making up 87 or being added to get 87, to get that number, you need to do 87 subtract 19. And that should give us 68. Okay, I'm sure you recognize this place value chart which you used in primary school only in SATs. That represents the ones or units. That's the tens. That's the hundreds. That's the thousands. That's the 10,000s. That's the 100,000s, millions, 10 millions, 100 millions. If we place these counters here, how would you read these numbers? So here we have 8 counters in the hundreds column. We have 3 counters in the tens column and 4 counters in the ones column. This is 834. Okay? And that can be written like this, 834. What about this one? How would we read this? We have in the tens millions, we have 2 counters in the 100 millions, 6 counters in the 10 millions, 1 counter in the million, 2 counters in the 100,000s. But if we focus on the millions first, we actually have 261 million. 261 million. If we focus on the thousands, we have 200,000, and then we have 7 10,000s and 5,000. So if we focus on the thousands, we have 275,000. Okay. And then the number is as we had before. So if we want to read these whole numbers, we're going to have represented by the counters, it will be 261,275,834. And that can be written like this. Have you noticed the way we group the numbers in 3 digits, in groups of 3? Yeah. So 834, when we move to the next, we're now talking about thousands. And when we move to the next, we're talking about millions. I want you to take note of that. What about this one? Have a think. How would we represent this number? Here, she says, let's call her Lucy, that this place value chart represents 514,623. Or she may be thinking this is how you write 540 million, because we can clearly see that we have 5 in the hundreds million, 1 in the tens million, and 4 counters in the million column. And then we have 6 counters in the hundred thousands, 2 counters in the 10,000s, and 3 counters in the thousands. What about these? What she's not done with them? If we follow what we already know, here is what should happen. We should have these, which I've already said. So if we write them out, concerned with the millions only, if we only write the millions, we have 514 million. Okay. And then this is 600 and 623,000. Okay. And then what happens next? Remember what I said? Have you noticed the way we write the numbers in groups of 3? We could have used 0 in those places where there were no counters. And that's how our number should be. 514,623,000. Okay. If you were asked to draw counters to represent this number, how would you do it? Have a think. My advice would be to start from the right, from the ones, okay? And make sure you write the numbers in groups of 3. If you were to actually write the numbers, can you see how it's separated by commas? So we put 6 counters there because that number is 6. No counter here, you can see 0. We put 4 counters in the hundreds column, 5 counters in the thousands column, 2 counters in the 10,000s column, 9 counters in the 100,000s column, 1 counter in the millions column, and 3 counters in the tens millions column. That is how we should represent it. But what does the 9 represent in the counter, in the number? You can see that the 9 represents 9 counters in the hundreds thousand column. So that clearly shows that it is 900,000. So it is 900,000. What about the 1? What does the 1 represent? You can see that the 1 is in the millions column. So this just represents 1 million. Okay? 1 million. Notice how the 1 million is 6 digits and the digits are separated in groups of 3. Okay, what you've learned so far is how to use the place value chart and how to know that numbers are written in groups of 3 digits. So you always start your number from the left if you're trying to figure out how to read out the number up to the million and even the billion. Well, if million is 6 digits after a number, then billion should be 9 digits after a number. So remember, we're talking about recognizing the place value of numbers up to 1 billion. Pause the video and have a go at questions 1 and 2 in 4 minutes. All right, assuming you've paused the video and you've worked through question 1 and 2, here is the answer to question 1. So mark your work and learn from your mistake if you've made a mistake. For question 2, you were asked to use a place value chart to make these numbers. So if we want to do this one really quickly, you can see we have the ones. So we'll have ones. Okay. Well, we start from the left, don't we? Ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, tens, thousands, hundred thousands. So if we start to arrange, you see that you have 2, 1, 6, 5, and 1. So 15,000, you can see that's in the thousand column. So that's this word 5,000, that's tens thousands. So 15,612. So I'll just do this one and move on, but you should know how to use the place value chart and how to read your numbers when they are grouped in groups of 3. So if we want to read these numbers, this is 1,200,000. This is 954,038. And this is 3.5 million. Another way of saying 3.5 million is 3,500,000. Okay, let's move on. Pause the video and have a go at questions 3 and 4 in 4 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've really thought about this and you've worked out, so here are the answers. Let's discuss them. Question 3, you were asked to draw counters on the place value chart to represent the number, which is the value of the 7 in each number. And here are the counters. Remember, we always start with the ones. Start from left, and we can see how we represent the counters. Here is the other one. And you can see the 7 represents 700,000. You can see the 7 is the 100,000 column. You can see here the 7 represents 70 million. You can see the 7 is in the tens millions column. So it represents 7 lots of 10 million. That's what it means. So it's 70 million. Okay, here is question 4. You can check your answers and mark your work. All right. Okay. Having done that learning, let's learn something new. What about if we have to partition numbers? Okay. How would we partition, split 2,604,000 into its different component numbers that make it up? Now, if we want to do it really simply, this is what it is on a place value chart. So you can see if we write this one, this is 200 million. So we can just write 200 million. 2 million, not 200 million. We can just write 2 million. And then the other one is 600. You see that? It's in the hundreds column. We have 6 counters. So we just say 600,000. And then the next one is 4,000. You can see you have 4 counters in the 1,000 column. So that's how we can partition numbers into its different constituents or components once we know how the place value chart works. Okay, so far you have learned about how to partition number. Okay, just using the place value chart and thinking about how the numbers can be split into its component numbers based on the place value of their digits. All right, so have a go and do question 5. Pause the video and do it in 2 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've worked really hard on this, here are the answers. Let's discuss them. So using the counters again, you can split these numbers. You can see it says complete the representation so that they show the same number. That's all you need to do. So here is 25 million. That should be 2, obviously 2 counters. So after completing them, this is what you should get, and you should be able to split the numbers into its components. Here we have it. You'll be able to partition the numbers. Here are the questions 6 and 7. Pause the video and do questions 6 and 7 in 3 minutes. Okay, assuming you've worked really hard, you've done these questions, here are the answers. Here you will ask, answer to question 6, you will ask to state the value of the 6 in each of the numbers. And here they are. So 67 is 6 tenths. Okay. Then 6 is 6 thousandths. So on and so forth. Here are the answers to question 7. You're told to write 2 numbers to fit each description. Here is what you should get. Pause the video and have a go at question 8 and 9 for 4 minutes. So you can see here the number has been partitioned. You need to write the numbers in here. Here you need to partition and complete the number. Here are the answers. Question 9, you can work with your partner to have fun learning maths. Okay, just get some numbers, see how many ways you can partition the number into, especially the numbers you've worked with in this lesson. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson. Important things you've learned in this lesson are: 1, you should know that when you partition numbers, you can use your place value chart thinking about how the place value chart helps you to partition the numbers into their ones, tens, okay, into their hundreds, and then so on and so forth. And take note, it's really important to know how we read numbers by grouping the numbers in digits, groups of 3 digits. So for example, 1 million, you would see, if you want to write 1 million, you write 1, you write comma, you write 3 zeros, comma, and then 3 zeros. Okay, so it's important to know how you read numbers from the left, thinking about the place value chart from the left, but grouping numbers in groups of 3. Okay, from the left to the right. Okay, until next time, take care and bye-bye.